Today, we're going to look at the strategies for community development. Strategies for community development. The first strategy we are going to look at is organizing credit groups. Credit groups are the things you use in the community for them to be able to have access to money in bulk. Many of us are conversant with the ISOWN Contribution Club, where a group of people, contribute money and then give it out to another person to be able to use it to solve his or her problem. So we are talking about organizing credit group. And we say that this is a group of association of women, young people, or men who come together for the purpose of pooling financial resources together. So when they now gather, there are those who contribute 10,000, 5,000. The implication is that if you have, for example, a need of 50,000 and you are in 10 and you are 10 in a group, if it is your turn, once you get the 50,000, you should be able to use it to do whatever thing you want to use it for. Some use it to establish small scale businesses and other things. Now, in some cases, the money are contributed per month by each member. And the type of ISOWN contribution in our society, there are those who will contribute and they will give it to one individual. There are those who will be contributing small, maybe 2,000, 3,000, and they will share it at the end of the year. So this is what we call organizing credit group. Credit, once you hear the word credit, it has to do with money. When you receive credit alert, you know that money have entered your account. So when you organize a credit group, what you are doing is that a group that comes together to pool financial resources. Financial resources is money resources together so that they can use it to solve their problem. The second one we are going to talk about is revolving funds. Revolving funds. This revolving fund sometimes may not come from the community or the village where the people are set up. It may be through government. It may be through a philanthropist. It is the revolving fund in the sense that once the group have access to this money, you understand, then they will now give it to a member, maybe to use it for like 3 or for like 6 months. Immediately the member 6 months elapses, he will now bring that money again in bulk, and it will become another, it now goes to the next person. That is how the money will keep on going around the members of the group until it gets to the last person. That is why it is called revolving fund. The fund revolves. The capital is there. You give it to one person. The person may start a business, and maybe within 6 months, the person must have made some money that even when he brings out the money that has been given to him, that his or her business will not be affected. Great deal. That is why it is called revolving fund, because it is going to revolve around all the members of the group. Then we have what is called enterprise education. So when you engage in money generating activity in communities where you are working as a social worker, it means that there are special skills that you need to impact into the people you are working with. So how do you now acquire this skill? How can you give this skill to the group you are working with for them to be able to simulate it, understand it? You are working with people who are not employed. You are working with people who are underemployed, and you want them to get access to income generating activity. You understand? So the things you engage in what is called enterprise education, the kind of education that will help them to be very successful in whatever scale or in whatever business they have chosen to undertake. Now, this enterprise education is designed, or it should seek to build the following. The enterprise education should seek to build the following things. 1, desire. 2, faith. The enterprise education should build desire in the people you are working with. It should build faith. It should help them to build vision, which is the third thing. It should help them in action planning. It will help them in specialized knowledge. So what will the desire do for the people we are doing enterprise education for? The truth is that you cannot achieve anything unless you have a strong desire for it. So the enterprise education will help you to work with the people you are working with so that they will have that desire to work. If they don't have desire to have income generating activity, to engage in one business enterprise or the other, the implication is that whatever thing you are doing for that person is not going to work. So the enterprise education should be able to build their desire. The next thing it will be is their faith. A kind of confidence that when they engage in this type of enterprise that they are going to succeed. That is what faith is talking about. You know what is faith? When you have trust in something, when you have confidence in something, you pick somebody that is unemployed and you want that person to start a new business. What we are going to do is that you should be able to build faith in that person, that if it is maybe the person needs to engage in skill acquisition, like furniture, barbing, or any other skills, that business should be able to take care of his needs or his financial needs. So the enterprise education will help to build faith in the life of the client. It also helps to build vision. The vision is the mission they want to accomplish in life. When somebody that is not that is regarded as a nobody in the society, that doesn't have any means of livelihood, when you are now working with the person and the person now sees that through what you are making him to pass through, that he's going to have a better life. That kind of person will now begin to have a vision of his own. He will now be like, maybe if I continue this way, or if I start this business and begin to make this kind of money, in the next 3 years, I will be able to get married. In the next 5 years, I'll be able to, have a small house of my own. Help them to have vision. Or the person will even say in the next 6 months or in the next 1 year, because I have not completed my degree, I can combine my work and also combine my education. The fourth thing the enterprise education will help them to build is what is called action planning. All the actions that they want to engage in, the things that they want to do, how are they going to plan it? There is this popular saying that he who fails to plan, plans to fail. So for any enterprise to be able to succeed, that enterprise should be planned for. Because if you don't plan for it, you may not know the resources that is required for you to be able to achieve it. Is it going to be human resources? Is it going to be financial aid? Is it going to be a kind of policy that you need to rely on to continue to do what you are doing? Then, the enterprise education will also help you to have what is called constructive association. Association is a kind of interaction you have between you and other people. You can have it with a group. You can have association, among the people that may be doing a similar work. Constructive association in the sense that you now engage in an association that seeks your improvement, not an association that brings a kind of setback to you. So that is what enterprise education helps us to achieve. What is called constructive association that will be of benefit to you, not an association that will draw you back. The enterprise education finally will help you on how to start your own business. Now, if there is this kind of enterprise education, it will help the person to be able to ask the following question. Do you want to be self-employed or do you want to work for somebody? Which business do you want to engage in? Starting a business, do you have the skill to convince people to buy your products? If you don't have the skill and you want to market a product and you don't have the skill to convince people, so what are you doing there? It may be better for you to look for a place where you can render services and people pay you because of the services you rendered. Now, the fourth strategy for community development. The third one we talked about is enterprise education. The fourth one is viable economic activities. As a social worker, you can help in community development by mobilizing the people to participate in activities that pay. Sometimes traditional activities are not economically viable. Therefore, as a social worker, you have a duty to alert people to alternatives. You know, there are some people that once they inherit one means of income, they want to die with that means of income. They will not be looking at a viable alternative that will help them to, you know, live life better. So as a social worker, you help the community you are working with to look at viable economic activities, you know, and you can achieve this by working with local leaders and other relevant agencies. Local leaders, people like a town union executive, traditional ruler. Sometimes you can even work with a government. You know, I remember some years back when fertilizer was introduced, many people were scared of using fertilizer. If you ask them, they will tell you that if you use it to, you know, farm, that after harvesting, it will not take long before those crops will be destroyed. You know, this is what we are giving to people to help them to have a better means of livelihood. So instead of having, for example, 1 kilogram of rice that you're supposed to have like 2 or 3, the person is now telling you that if you use fertilizer, you know, that the crop after harvesting will spoil after a short time. So that is why we say that sometimes traditional activities are not economically viable. So as a social worker, you have a duty to alert people to alternative. And you can achieve this by working with local leaders and other relevant agencies. I know the government then, you know, engage in a whole lot of awareness creation, telling people about the importance of using a fertilizer. Even there are some improved yields that some community people rejected. You know, they will just give it one name in order to make sure that that improved yield does not see the light of the day. But after a very rigorous campaign, you know, they were able to do away with their prejudice and their bias about all those innovations, and they begin to embrace it. Now, we are going to look at management of social work programs. Management of social work programs. And I will say that programs are those activities we do as social workers to be able to solve client problems. So for you to be able to manage social work program, you need to bear in mind that the nature of the problem determines the schedule and the program for the social worker. For example, you cannot be treating a rape case the way you are treating somebody that has an accident. You know, while the rape victim passed through a whole lot of trauma, you understand, the accident victim, though, pass through pain. You will see that through this position, that the rape victim may be afraid of the opposite sex, whereas the accident victim may want people to be talked to. We would like to see people on a constant basis to be talking with them. So that is why we say that the nature of the problem determines the schedule and the program for the social work intervention. You know, there are different problems individuals have. You know, you cannot, for example, somebody who is having financial challenges and another lady who is having a problem of domestic violence in the home. They are two different cases. So the program for Lady A may not be program for Lady B, despite the fact that they are all women. You understand? That is why we say that the nature of the problem determines the schedule and the program for the social work. So what are you going to do to be able to manage social work programs effectively? The first thing you need to do is to establish clear lines of communication. Very, very necessary. In everything you do as a social worker, you should be able to establish clear lines of communication. Communication, both verbal and non-verbal communication. You know, you should be able to say what people can hear. If you mean stop, you should be able to say stop. There are people who are very difficult in communication. You will bring something to them. Instead of telling you that that is not what they want, they'll just tell you, is that the only thing you see in that environment? putting the person in a confusion. So if there is orange, if there is mango, and if there is guava, and you ask somebody to bring fruit to you, and the person goes and brings apple, and what you want is mango, you should be able to speak in clear-cut language. Please, I need mango. Can I have mango? Not, is it only apple that is the fruit that you saw in that place? You are creating confusion. So for you to be able to manage social work programs very effectively, you should be able to establish clear lines of communication. The next thing you should do, the second one, is to make services accessible to the public. Those programs you are rendering, those interventions you are rendering in the community, you must make it accessible to the people. It is not something that is have unnecessary bottleneck or unnecessary bureaucracy. People want to access the services you provide. You give them more than a 100-page questionnaire to go and fill. Before they finish filling the questionnaire, they are disinterested in what you are doing. So you should be able to make services accessible to the public. You know, not when you ask people to come by 12 o'clock, you'll be coming by 4 p.m. These are the things that we do that makes it very difficult for clients to be able to access the services of a social worker. So it is essential to stress the importance of making service accessible to the public. In this way, the public will know where to go for help. Now, given that social services have limited resources, this inevitably raises questions about how far they should be involved with the early identification of need. You know, as human beings, we always have different kind of need. We always, when you solve one particular problem, we want to, the person will, have that urge for another problem to be solved. The implication is that the resources that is available will not be able to take care of our problem. But when you make people to have access to the services that you render, it will remove whatever complication, whatever misconception people have about the services, so that the ones they have access to, you give it to them. The one that is not available, when you explain to them, they will understand, because the ones that is accessible, they have accessed it, or the one that is available, they have accessed it. But the one that is not available, you should be able to explain, this one is not available. With this, you should be able to build trust within the community people. The third criteria for management of social work program is that as somebody who provides services or as social service staff, the social worker should not see themselves as somebody that is self-contained, but as part of a network. You should not see yourself as a kind of lord that is lording it over to the client. You see yourself as a part of a network that is providing services. And if you see yourself as a part of a network that is providing services, you should be able to be humane in the kind of services that you provide. Then, the next strategy is what is called coordination. And we know coordination of social work program is very, very important. Why is coordination important? You need to coordinate the time. You need to So, I think the last point I was talking about is coordination. Did you hear when I mentioned, Marianne, did you hear when I talked about coordination?
No, sir.
Okay, but did you hear when I talk about social, the staff of social services should see themselves as a network of providing services. Therefore, they should be humane in providing the services that is required. So immediately I finished talking about that third point, I talked about coordination. And I said that coordination is very important because you need to coordinate the resources. Everything that you need to work as a programmer, you understand, you need to coordinate it so that you are not going to waste resources, so that your intervention is going to be timely. So not when a problem must have consumed the people, we are now coming with the intervention. You understand? People have suffered through outbreak of disease, and
Hello? I can't hear anything. Oh.
So the last point I was making about was about coordination. So we need to coordinate the resources, both human and material. Coordination helps you to provide intervention that is timely, intervention that addresses the problem of the client. Then we are going to look at structure of social work within and outside the government. Structure of social work within and outside the government. I have opportunity of teaching some of you the history of social work in some of your institutions. And we talked about the traditional practice of social work. So it is obvious, different setting, different environment, be it in Nigeria, be it in Kenya, be it in Tanzania, have different structure of providing social work services. So I just want you to have it at the back of your mind when we are talking about structure of social work within and outside the government. The focus now is the social work intervention that is within and outside the government. What is the role of a social worker in that kind of environment? If, for example, you are posted in social welfare or in a hospital setting owned by government, what are the things that you are supposed to be doing in that area to ensure that you practice competently, or that the intervention that is rendered to the client that you are serving solve the client's problem, and you do it in such a way that you are ethically okay in the services that you are provided, such that not tomorrow people you now become liable to what is called malpractice suits. If I use this word malpractice suit now, some of you may not be preview to what we mean by malpractice suit, but that you are providing services to people does not give you the freedom to provide any type of services. In the developed world like US, Canada, London, etc., if you provide a services that the client is not satisfied with, the client have the right to sue you. In Nigeria, because anything goes, the word malpractice suit may not be ringing in our ears because we are not used to it, because anything goes in Nigeria. So what is the responsibility of the social worker in the structure of social work within and outside the government? What is this supposed to do? The first thing is what is called program evaluation. Program evaluation. This program evaluation is saying, if you are providing, for example, counseling to your client, you should be able to evaluate it to see that the counseling that you are providing for your client is addressing the problem of the client. If it is a delinquent child you are providing counseling for, you should be able to make sure that not when the child leaves your presence, the child becomes worse. I was giving an example in one of my classes that it will be suicidal, that there is a case of depression that is referred to you, and after interview, you address the problem of the client. Then that's what we call formative evaluation. So in this formative evaluation, what it means is that your ability to assess the kind of information you provide for your clients. So you should be able to measure the impact of the program. That is why it is called formative evaluation. The impact of program to their client when they ask themselves the following questions. If you discover that there is a kind of improvement in the behavior in the clients you are working with, you should be able to evaluate what strategies were used. Then you should be able to ask yourself, what about the accuracy of the information that is released to the client? Because apart from, counseling and therapy we provide to our clients, we also provide information for them. And that information we provide to our client addresses or speak to the teacher role of a social worker. Now, we're going to look at social work program design. Social work program design, the way we design a social work program. Before you begin to design social work program, you should be able to identify what is called key issues. When you talk about key issues, you talk about issues that are relevant to the case you are handling. And we say that what is involved in designing a strong and effective social work program is a key issue, which includes navigating administrative and organizational hurdles. Before we begin to design the program, you should be able to look at, is there administrative policy that hinders you from engaging in that program? For example, in Nigeria now, you cannot begin to talk about designing programs for same-sex couples or same-sex individuals. Why? Fundamentally, the Nigerian constitution is against it. So we cannot be talking about it. It is an administrative thing. It is a policy thing. So these are the key issues. Again, if you want to go and implement program for adolescent girls in the community, do you begin to teach them about condom? And you should be able to understand the body language of the community you are working with, so that you don't begin to promote what the community refers to as taboo. Because if you do not identify the key issues concerning the programs you want to implement, the implication is that the program will be dead on arrival, because the people who are designing the program will not take you serious. They will not even be interested. And in some cases, they may be violent to you that is designing the program, because you were unable to identify the key issues. So we're going to say, is this issue organizational hurdles? Is this something that is administrative? Is this something that has to do with policy issues? Things like government filing and funding. There are some programs that if you want to design, you may need government funding. So you need to look at the budget line of government, whether they have interest in the program you are working with. So if, for example, you want to do youth empowerment, and you are relying that as a responsible government, they will have a program on youth empowerment, without going to the budget line of the government to know whether they actually have a budget for youth empowerment that year, the implication is that you are not going to get any funding from the government, because government did not budget about it. So these are the key issues you need to look at. Now, another factor to consider is the resources available to address those needs. You cannot just go on and be identifying needs. We need to send people to school. We need to provide water for the people. We need to provide a good. What about the resources to address this need? So these are the key issues that you need to identify before you begin to enter into social work program. These identifying key issues is what you need to bear in mind when you want to design social work program. Now, so what are the key things that you need to do as you begin to design social work program? Mind you, I've told you that identifying key issues is something that you need to have at the back of your mind. Now, the things you begin to do as you begin to design social work program are: one, what is called researching approach. What is the researching approach? As a social worker, you need to do research to know about existing program, to be able to determine an evidence-based approach for addressing the identified need. Please, very sorry for the break in transmission. I was talking about researching approaches as one of the things you do to design social work program. And I was talking about research. I was saying that sometimes some people must have carried out an intervention in area that you are interested in. So try, if you do your research, you should be able to find out what they did and then know why they failed. Because if not, you'll be making the same mistake they made. I don't know, in one of my classes, I was sharing experience about those who want to encourage young people to go back to school by introducing school back. So what did they do? They came to the state, the place that was ravaged by insecurity, Boko Haram attack. So they shared school bag to all the school children as one of the things that will motivate them to go to school. They did not ask questions. So what happened? 6 months after they gave them the bag, they went back to the community to see whether the number of people that have gone back to school have increased. They discovered that the children were just using the bag as souvenirs in their houses. Why? Because of the problem of insecurity. Children are not allowed to carry bag to school because of those who can use it as a suicide bombing. So they did not do their research very well. That is why I say, if you want to design your social work program, you should be able to design, you need to be able to do proper research to be able to have information about what you are doing. There is also what we call baseline study. It will be able to help you to know to what extent is the problem ravaging the community, or how problematic that particular problem is in that community. Then the second thing you need to consider is to determine a viable solution. I've talked about this viable solution before. Viable is a solution that solves the problem of the client. So the third one is establishing logistics and partnership. You need to, what is going to be the cost of the program that you want to introduce? Who and who are you going to partner with? Are you going to partner with women? Are you going to partner with youth? Is your program, is it for adolescent girls, which means the adolescent girls are going to be a critical stakeholder in the program that you want to execute. Now, the fourth thing you need to do is to raise awareness about the program as services. You know, people should be able to know, you should be able to create enough awareness, conscientize people, sensitize people about what that program is out to achieve. If you do not do that, people will not understand what we have come to the community to do. I've had the opportunity of going to a community to conduct a survey, and very unlucky for us, we were like 3 guys that went to the community, and the program is about married women, newly married women. So the community leaders were like, there is no way they will allow young men like us to begin to interact with newly married young women. You know, and that was how we need to find a balance, to find another 3 ladies that accompany us to do the work, so that there is a male here and there is a female, then we were able to do the survey. You know, so should be able to raise awareness, you know, tell people about the program services so that they will be able to support it. They will willingly accept it. And once they accept it, they will not take ownership of that kind of program. The 5th one is securing grant and funding. How much does the program need? You know, where are you going to get the money? As I said before, if you say you are relying on government, have you gone to government budget to know whether if such a thing is captured in the budget line for that particular program for that particular year? So if you are relying on a government to give you funding, you need to be sure. You need to be sure that such thing is captured in the government budget line. Then the 6th thing you need to do is to do social work program evaluation. Evaluation is all about assessment, trying to find out the intervention that you have done. Is it solving the client's problem? That is what evaluation is all about. You do a kind of assessment. Are we making progress? If we are making progress, if we are not making progress, what is the problem? You will discover that sometimes when you do your evaluation, for those of you that have opportunity of doing rehabilitation in social work, passing through the processes, anyway, some of you may get to that stage. Once you do your evaluation and you discover, that you did not, that your intervention is not giving you what you want, what it means is that
Excuse me, class. The third one is what? Please, can someone help me? As after viable solution. The third one is what?
Sure, Maka, I didn't get that too. I was hoping after the class I'll go and listen to it. He said they're determining something. I didn't get all of that.
Jamu biara. So who can hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Very frustrated today. It's okay. So can you remind me where was the last place you had me? Because I was busy talking. I didn't know that I've gone off.
Social work program evaluation.
Social work program evaluation. So we say that evaluation is trying to find out whether the intervention that you are engaging with your client, is it solving the client program? Is it the right program for the client? Is it addressing the challenges that the client is having? If not, after evaluation, if you discover that it has not solved the client's problem, then what it means is that it may be that those who are asked to implement the program did not do what they are asked to do. Or contrary, the second reason may be that there is a wrong assessment, so you need to do your assessment again. Then, okay, I think your social worker program evaluation. The seventh one is evaluating program and service effectiveness. When you talk about evaluating and service effectiveness, they are just saying the same thing. Does the problem address the challenges for the social worker? Then, the eighth thing that you have to do is to analyze funds received. The money you receive to execute a particular program, what problem is it going to solve? Is it for training? Is it for startup kits? Is it for, just make sure that the fund, you do a proper analysis to know the problem the money can solve. And in Nigeria today, analyzing of funds may be very, very difficult because of the rate of inflation. So, but you try your best as a social worker to analyze that fund that has been given to you and be able to identify the problem that the fund will be able to solve. Not when, for example, if you need to help a client to have a shelter, instead of getting like 2-bedroom for that person, we are talking about a very big bungalow, like 4 rooms and parlor, or a duplex. What it means is that you have planned yourself to fail, because the resources will not be able to do what you have set out to do. But if you analyze it and it is 2-bedroom, just make sure it is 2-bedroom. If it is for providing medical services, then focus on providing medical services. If it is for feeding for 6 months, say that it is feeding for 6 months. Don't go and do a projection that you are going to do feeding for 1 year. It doesn't make sense. What it means is that when you now say it is for 1 year and the money finishes at 6 months, it now seems as if you are telling a lie. Then the last thing you need to do is to measure and maintain accountability. The money that has been given to you, the person that is funding your program, your projects, is it government, is it international organization, should be able to give them accountability. That is the only way you can succeed in doing social work program. Accountability is very key. The USAID, DFID, Christian Aid, all United Nations, all these organizations that give aids, to people to execute program, they require accountability. They require transparency. The money that they have given you, state in clear times what you are able to do with the money. If you are able to provide empowerment for 50%, say 50%, don't go and exaggerate it to 500%. By the time they will come to do monitoring, they will now say that it is only 50% that has been empowered. The money that is set out to give people startup grants, don't go and use it and begin to, answer big man in your church organization, or you begin to donate this or that and begin to answer very big name. Accountability is very key, especially when you are receiving funds to be able to do social work program. Then we're going to enter into social mapping. I think we can try as much as we can to see where we can cover. Social mapping. Social mapping to us explore where and how people live and the available social infrastructure. So when you are doing your social mapping, we are talking about how people live and the available social infrastructure, things like roads, drainage. So when you are doing your social mapping, they will tell you do a social mapping of where you are living. You look at that area. If there is a church, you say there is a church. If there is a mosque, you say there is a mosque. If there is a road, you say there is a road. You know, if there is a school, you should be able to. These are the things you map out: drainage system, schools, drinking water facility, etc. A social map is made by local people and is not drawn to scale, illustrating what the local people believe to be relevant and important for them. So those things that the people believe that it is relevant and important to them are the things you are going to map. We have this hospital. It has been very beneficial to us. They will map it out. So, and we said that social mapping is an authentic way of determining what the social reality looks like to locals through social stratification, you know, demographic, settlement patterns, social infrastructure, etc. From the perspective of the local people, you should be able to do your social mapping. You know, if you do social mapping with government people, especially politicians, they will tell you that there is electricity everywhere. But if you go to the local people, they will tell you that they've never seen electricity. You know, I was in a community in Imo State where they are supposed to drill borehole for them. The overhead tank was there, the tap, everything was there, but there is no water coming out from the tap. And we saw where it was commissioned by maybe the governor of the state, and we're now asking them what was the problem. They said actually they came to drill water in that community. They drilled the water, they could not get water, and the day of commissioning the project was approaching. What do? They went and called tanker, and they filled the tank, that is the overhead tank, and they opened it. Water rushed out immediately. The water in the overhead tank finishes, and that was the end of the project. You understand? So when you meet politicians, they will tell you, they will give you a picture. This is an overhead tank. There is pipe-borne water. You will take it. But the locals who live in that community should be able to say, yes, we have this infrastructure, but it does not serve the purposes that it's supposed to serve. You know, so
I'm not hearing anything. Oh.
Please, we need. I'll talk with the ICT person so that we'll reschedule this class within this week so that we're able to measure up for the lost time. Sorry for the inconvenience. We'll have a lovely week ahead. Frank, did you hear me? Frank.
Okay, yes, I did hear you. I did hear you.
You see?
Yes, I did. I did hear you.
Okay, please, yeah, we need to reschedule this class because network has been very poor on my end. I've used MTN, I've used Glow Network. You know, none of them is
Mm.